last but not least, just to kick off what is technically going to be our official Christmas special, if you will, right? Yeah, man, we got to talk about Street Fighter, but we got to talk about two Street Fighter movies in particular, right? So we're going to celebrate the 30th anniversary of Street Fighter, as in the live action 94 movie, and Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, which also came out in 94 as well, right?
Right.
For the sake of interest, right? We'll start off with the live action first, then we'll jump into the animation afterwards, right? I know this is not going to be a breakdown of every single thing that happened because legit, I watched both these movies back to back and I didn't even take down any notes, right? So I just going off of what I saw and from what I remember in the past from seeing it. And yeah, just how I feel about these movies, right now, right? So of course, we had a talk about, the game that kicked it off, right? The franchise that kicked it off, right? Street Fighter, right? But in particular, Street Fighter 2, which I still think is the greatest fighting game of all time. Like, bar none, right?
Right.
Even though I am not, all right, so technically, I'm not like the biggest gamer out there, right? Compared to you, right? I dabble with games ever so often, right? But I don't like play them like every I don't play them on a regular basis, right? But no, like, even though I didn't have a console, back in my childhood, I will never forget back in 93, if I'm not mistaken, right? Where I saw, like, in this corner store by me, this corner shop by me, right? I'll never forget this, right? This image is burned into my psyche, right? This arcade console, right, for Street Fighter 2, right? And a whole bunch of guys, right, just huddling around this one console. And it was like the only console that was there, right? And that was like, wait, what is this game, Dread? And like, I just sort of glanced at it now, and it's only like, I think it's probably like a day or two afterwards where I went to buy something to eat, right? Where I actually looked at, like when, before you put in the coin, right? You'll just see like the little intro, little cutscenes and whatnot, right? I'm just seeing this thing. What's this thing? You're seeing these two guys going to fight, and then one man throw up, and then the camera pan up and you see Street Fighter 2. Like, what's this? What's this, right? And then I actually saw the gameplay for it, like, okay, this is something, Dread. This is really something,
Yeah. Well, yeah, the first Street Fighter 2 is a classic. Like, Street Fighter 2 is like just truly the dominant, like what we think about. Like, I didn't get into Street Fighter until years later. For me, the thing that burned into my brain is Super Street Fighter, that opening cutscene with Ryu just in the corner, Ryu in the shadow. And then
right. And then the power up and he do the Hadouken. Classic.
Yeah, Hadouken the camera. Right.
Classic shit. Yes.
But for me, I just think about it in terms of just the. Like, for me, I was more a Mortal Kombat person, to be honest, right? But Street Fighter 2, when I got into it is because of Sega, like, just on the home console, both Sega and Super Nintendo had it. But Sega their version of it was great. Like, just, I find out that Street Fighter 2 version was just always, in my humble opinion, superior. Just such a great, but the Street Fighter 2, not the Super Street Fighter. Super Street Fighter on SNES was a little better. But yeah, Street Fighter on Sega was great because you could have pump up the speed to like insane levels, so like up to 10 stars. Like, usually the fastest you could get on, I think, on Super Nintendo was just the 4 stars. But you could go up to 10 stars, it'll be super fast. You had to just be like on point. And then by the time around this time when I was like playing video games, emulators came out. So, SNES, ZSNES, and whatever it is, you used to just play it on your
PC.
On your PC, well, on my laptop, because laptop keyboards now. Back then, we had a laptop. Laptop keyboards are super smooth. It's still smooth to this day, but just playing Street Fighter on a laptop, just smooth, getting everything you need to do, and you can just do it as fast as possible. Really, really well, cut together, great stuff there. Just smooth controls and making it work. And Street Fighter was a game I just got really good at over time. As it is, right? So yeah, it's a franchise that I get in. It have a super weird law about it. And then a lot of it ended up being governed by, well, that animated movie. This animated movie is kind of goated. I was a big fan of this.
It kind of is. We self-out, but it kind of is.
Yeah, this also, well, also is a show I caught up with years later. There's an animated series as well that was really weird and cool, but it was a totally different story. But that was also pretty good.
We saw this on a little station called TTT, well, the original
Right.
channel 2 and 13, right?
No, all right.
I
So
Okay,
like
well, basically, all right. So
I talk about two different shows. Yeah,
I know. So what we
yeah,
saw
right,
on local TV, right? That was like
right.
we call this the American TV
The
series, right?
American version,
But
right?
then
Well,
there's
okay. So
also the
this version,
Japanese TV series, which was a spin-off of the animated movie, which you'll talk about.
right? So it's both of them, and that is the American version is basically that used to mostly focus on Guile. That was all.
Yes.
I used to watch it on USC.
Oh, right,
Back in
right.
the day.
I didn't see it then when it was out, though.
Yeah.
I had to wait till no, I know why, because I didn't have cable at the time, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
So he
yeah.
had what called USA Action Extreme Team.
Oh,
That
that
was
was
like
called. Oh, okay,
yeah.
okay.
That's what it was. But that was it. That was their Saturday morning block. So I remember watching Street Fighter and it hardly. I think it was like about 2 or 3 episodes ever had Ken and Ryu in it. It sucked. I hated it. Cause look,
Oh,
Guile is
look.
cooler, but like Guile as a star don't really work. Guile every episode was kind of bad, and because he's American, they make him. It was terrible. I hated that
Yeah.
series. But it had a couple like good drama at the
Well,
end.
for me, I didn't love the show. I didn't hate it neither, but
Right.
it was just cheesy, though. It was just
Yeah. Really.
pure cheese.
Right,
I
and
think that's why I watched it.
I find that show more lined up with the live action movie, whilst
Good point.
the Japanese show lined up with the with the animated movie.
Yeah, especially the emphasis on Ryu and to
Right,
extend Ken, right? Yeah,
right.
right.
So yeah, and that show was pretty cool because what that show did was like, well, it's Ken and Ryu's the best martial artist ever, but like it have a level above that they're not aware of, and that's where
Yes.
the whole Street Fighter tournament comes in. So they were the best martial artists in terms of the public, but it have a next level, and it's just all these super secret, super badass fighters that do show up, they show their face now, and the first person up there those they meet was Guile. So Guile cut their ass in a bar.
Oh,
Right, and Gal cut their ass in a bar, and then they had to go and do some training, and then they end up beating Dalzim, and they do a whole weird thing with it. Like it was a different story, but it was still cool. Like I thought there was a lot of interesting, smart calls with this. This movie is really weird and strange. Like it makes a bunch of bizarre calls with it as well, but it's still pretty badass. Everybody looking muscular for some reason.
yeah. And in pure early 90s anime style, right?
Yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
muscular in the show.
Everybody muscular,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
But
this is of course this is a movie that make a picture tent for the first time, chun-li in the shower and whatnot. But then
yeah, oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
but then
if you know, you know.
yeah, if you know, but then they go on to have probably one of the best fights with her and her versus Vega,
Vega,
right?
yes, yes.
Or Balrog in the
Or
Japanese
Balrog
version.
in
Right,
Japanese version, correct, yeah.
right. And yeah, to make it work. Like this was hard. This was like
Yeah.
real hard. Yeah.
But in my case, I want to start off with the inferior of the two shows
Right.
first, because this is what this segment, or I should say this special, is about, right? And yeah, why we call this a Christmas special technically is that even though the animated movie didn't come out in December, it came out in August 6th, 1994, right? Believe it or not, the live action version came out on December the 23rd.
Right. So hot take. No, not hot take. It's just more like a confession. This was actually the first movie I ever walked out on. Not because it's my fault. I went to see this years after, but I remember for some reason, I remember just feeling really sick watching the movie. It was because the movie bad. I should have stayed and watch the movie. But my friends and them, I didn't see the movie when it came out originally in theaters. But all my friends say it was terrible. Like it's one of the worst things, pretty bad to go and see it. So and so. So, but eventually I went to see it because I want to go see it. And I remember this, had a severe flu. I don't know what happened. But all of a sudden I started feeling super sick in the theater and I had to leave. Like I had to go home, and like I remember having a flu and never going to sleep and wherever it is.
Right.
That was it. So like not by because of the quality of the movie, but because of my sickness. But yes, it is the movie I remember having to walk out on, and it was like pretty bad. So that was about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's one point I want to make. Well, a couple points I want to make before I jump into the 94 film, right? Well, the live action film, sorry, right? For one thing, even though the game Street Fighter 2 came out in 91, right?
Right.
I wasn't familiar with that game till like about 93. I think that was the year when I first saw it, right?
I got it. Yeah, I got
which
it
is
around
weird.
that. Is when you had a working memory. Because I was 8 and 93 or whatever. But the franchise, this movie, this live action movie, also made a game. So
yeah, which
right.
I found out after the fact too.
Right, I saw.
I
I remember seeing this for the first time in Long Circular Mall because at the time,
okay.
Long Circular Mall had I would argue, had the best arcade in Trinidad, in my opinion, at that time. because it
And
had
you were
games.
lucky to go to that when you were younger,
Just like
boy.
whatever.
You know?
It was just by accident, like whatever. But Long
Huh.
Circle Mall was like that was the only place at the time, I think, as far as I know, in the country that had Afterburner. It was like in terms of best ranking early '90s arcades in Trinidad. Number one is still probably Long Circular. Number two is probably the airport, and then Trinity Mall. Trinity Mall get
Right.
third, but and then eventually La Peaks and them come later. But that's because they always 5 years behind. South Trinidad was 5 years behind everybody. But that's basically it. It's just I remember seeing that game in thing for the first time, and basically what it did was the Mortal Kombat rotoscope thing, but for Street Fighter, right, in the movie. So that's like, oh, that's like a real weird call though. The game is terrible. It's one of the worst Street Fighter games in my opinion. But it was such a
Okay,
weird,
I'll look up gameplay of it like online.
yeah,
I'll
it's
look
super
that
weird.
up. I'm
But,
curious. Yeah.
that's what it was called. It was Street Fighter the movie, the game, which was like, okay,
Oh
well,
Jesus Christ! Really?
you just eating your own shit now. Like that's what basically what's going on. This it's kind of bad. Like it was a pretty bad game. I don't remember it being, but it was so weird. Like they make a bunch of weird calls. But this movie made a bunch of weird calls. It's like, all right, well, they just pull it for the movie then. All right, fine. And
That's true. Yeah.
but
And
I remember that having a big crowd around it at the time. I was like, oh, they
right.
actually did this. And it's like, but they don't hold a candle to the classic, and they don't hold a candle to the two games. And then when Alpha came out and Street Fighter 3 came out eventually and whatnot. But
Right. Right.
I'll
Right.
say is that like, and it's a franchise that stayed in the public consciousness to this day because I still
Yes.
Street Fighter 4 is great, Street Fighter 5 was good, and then Street Fighter 6 is solid as well.
Mm.
All three, and they continue and evolve the franchises in intelligent and smart ways and keep it relevant, and it's just good gameplay and whatnot, and they make it work.
Yeah.
For
I
it,
mean, for one thing, they gave us a great villain in the form of Akuma Dread, like
right,
one of
yeah,
the
he's
most
iconic.
intimidating,
Yeah. He's an iconic thing.
badass characters like ever in video
Everybody
game
thought he
history, right?
was. Yeah, everybody thought he was the Goki that you had to fight, and they talk about the Shenlong. I remember they talk about Shenlong and whatever it is.
Yeah.
But nobody know what the translate because it was a bad translation and a bunch of shitty translations. I think I remember what Street Fighter 2 is that all of the glitch versions that was selling, they used to sell like a ton of glitch shit. So they had all these glitchy versions of the game all over the place because like
Right.
they just fuck up the programming and never fix it. So
Oh
it's all of
shit.
that. Yeah.
Right.
So it's like all of these things. It's an interesting history for me. Like again, I'm more of a Mortal Kombat fan, to be honest. Like I'll
Me
say
too.
that ultimately. But Street Fighter is a game that just the franchise is a real whole itself and just stay what it's going on 40 years now. Like since like the
Yeah.
first game, I never played the first game when it first came out, and I only played the first game because of the Alpha franchise. Because the Alpha franchise, in terms of the continuity, is technically before Street Fighter 2, right? Um, so it's that, right? And it's like, all right, this is referencing a lot of enemies from Street Fighter 1. A lot of guys from, oh, okay, that kind of cool. And Alpha is like a solid franchise. 3 games are really good. Um, they make it work. So that's that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
go ahead.
well, that's right. And second and last point before we jump into the live action film, right? Now, I was more of a Mortal Kombat fan as well, right? And just keep in mind, folks, again, not a big gamer, right? So like I was never good in either of these games, right? But it's just the imagery, the music, just the sound effects that always stood to me when it came to Mortal, right?
Yeah.
And I still say that Mortal Kombat, in particular Part 2, right, is the most influential fighting game of all time, right? While yes, Street Fighter 2 is the greatest, right? I would say Mortal Kombat 2, right, was the most influential. Because yes, the first one, highly controversial because of the violence and whatnot, but 2 just ramped things up to such a level. But I
Right.
would just think about just seeing the intro to this game though, and I get chills, right? It's just how they ramp everything up to just the intensity of the fights, the music, the sound effects, everything was just bumped up
Street
to
Fighter
another
2,
level, right?
Street Fighter 2 introduced Shao Kahn Dread, and it was so sorry, it's Mortal
No,
Kombat 2.
Mortal Kombat 2.
Yeah, Mortal
Yes.
Kombat 2 influenced Shao Kahn Dread. It's like he's a classic villain Dread. Yeah,
Yes,
the Mortal
boy.
Kombat franchise, two is one of those games that stuck with you because it has such a
Yeah.
great visuals and medium. 3 I don't love as much, but it still was up there. And it's because of the franchise. But then 4 ended up like just completely shit in the bed, in my humble opinion. And then
Yeah, and
5 is
I'll never forget that. I know we're gonna get to Street Fighter a bit, folks. But yeah,
yeah,
Mortal Kombat 4, remember, oh my god, the 3D host, look,
yeah, 3D
the
now, and it's
3D
terrible.
boy.
Yeah,
And then
and
when
it's
you actually
terrible.
play for yourself,
Yeah,
especially
one of the worst games.
when you download because there was a PC version, dog. If you haven't done it so in a long while, download that game, play it again, and just hear the dialogue, hear the sound effects though. Just
If you
hear
go back,
that and like,
just
oof,
Just
what
go
is
on,
that?
go on watch the cutscenes of every character's ending. It's one of the worst things ever.
Ooh,
But it's
boy.
some cringe, some serious cringe. Like if you go back and
Serious
watch back
cringe.
that shit, totally totally really bad, especially Jack, Sonya, and it had a guy Javek or Jarek or something like that. He was like another kind of Kano type character.
Right.
They all of them had the same, roughly the same endings, you know? And it was
Oh
the
God.
cringiest shit. Got that 3D animation, they just didn't know what to do with it.
Yeah, it looked
Um, and then
horrible.
eventually, like the franchise dipped a good bit, but then kind of came back for me with 9 and 10. But like it kind of dipped away a little bit, and that franchise suffered, I think, much more than Street Fighter did.
Yeah.
Because like I don't super love those games as much as the modern Street Fighter games. I think the modern Street Fighter games really hold up much better than um modern Mortal Kombat games on average, in my opinion. Even though I really like 9 and 10. Um, so that's about it. Yeah.
Right. So, but we will mention Mortal Kombat 2 for this particular review, right? For the
Sure.
live action one for sure, right? So on to 94 live action Street Fighter, right? So I'll never forget, right? For the life of me, I do not remember if this movie came out before Christmas, right? Or sorry, around the same time that it was released in the States, which will be the 23rd of December, right? Because I would remember instinctively, just as a kid growing up, when certain movies came out for the Christmas season, right? So, case in point, when the first Mortal Kombat movie came out, I remember that coming out for Christmas in 1995, right? Even though I think, if I'm not mistaken, it came out probably sometime in August in the States, or whatever, like that, right? That was
Right.
weird though. Like, it came out much earlier, but we got it for
That's what
Christmas.
Mortal
The
Kombat 2,
first
right?
Mortal Kombat movie, the first
Oh no,
Mortal
right. The
Kombat
first
movie.
one, yeah, okay, right.
Yeah, because funny enough, I was supposed to go and see that, but then I got chicken pox.
Right.
So yeah, you see how right. So you see how you had the flu when you went to see this show. Yeah, I had the flu. Well, sorry, I had chicken pox, and that's why I couldn't see the first Mortal Kombat, right? But anyway, but I'll never forget the trailers for Street Fighter being on TV, right? And when I saw them, right, I tell myself, but this is because even back then, right, I was not big on video game film adaptations, right? The moment I saw that first trailer for Super Mario Brothers, like, nope, nope. Even at my
I
age, I
remember
was like, no. I know
I
you
remember
saw it, but nope.
I saw that. Okay, so I have an interesting memory about. I think we talked about that, right?
Yeah,
Where
we
I
did when we talked about when we compared that to the new Super Mario Brothers movie. Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah
we
we
did.
traveled. Yeah, I remember traveling and I got into an accident and we had to take another maxi. It was a whole thing,
Right.
and it was like thing. But I remember just being baffled by that movie, utterly baffled by that first one. Like, and this with this new
It,
movie,
it, it is one of the strangest video game
right?
adaptations I've ever
Yeah.
seen, Judd,
And
you know?
it's the same thing with this movie. This movie just made such a bunch of baffling calls.
Yeah,
And like
just weird calls too. Yeah,
John
yeah, yeah.
John Claude Van
Um,
Damme, Jean Claude Van Damme is like he was hot shit in the 90s. No doubt, right? He was hot in the 90s, fine. But like he being Guile don't make no sense. Cause one, the accent. like,
Thank you.
like
Yes.
you see,
You,
you have
you, you're
one of the most
casting you're casting
non-American
a
accents.
Frenchman, you're casting or a Belgian, right? To
Yeah.
play an American, a pro
But
America. Because that is
but
what Guile
the
is.
thing is,
Guile is a
I think
pro,
the
he's an
logic was,
America fuck yeah kind of character.
yeah,
But you're hearing him talk though, and you're just hearing the Belgian or French's voice like oof, oof. And Hus, there's a moment, right? Swear to God, where he's flexing his bicep and you have an America flag on the bicep. I'm like,
right.
Hus, no,
But I
Judd,
think
no,
I thought
no,
originally it was supposed to make the
no.
character, it was supposed to make the character like a kind of international kind of soldier type now.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
That was the logic. That's what I thought the logic was. It's like, oh, is some kind of internationalist something, kind of something with that. Like he's not an American necessarily. But I know he is an American. Like, all right, well, what's going on then? Like, who is this?
Yeah. But yeah, the moment I saw that trailer, I was like, nah, no, 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 this is not the Street Fighter that I know, right? And that was why also, I think it's in the same year, if I'm not mistaken, I didn't even bother to watch Double Dragon, right?
I
Just me
don't know.
because
That
I
was
was
bad.
never a fan of the game to begin with.
Yeah, that
But
was bad.
again, you just see at the time, it was weird, folks. It was weird, right? For
Mm.
some weird reason, Hollywood just never knew how to translate video games into
Oh
movies,
yeah,
right?
like they never sent to the aesthetic of the material, and then also what they did was just rip off some sci-fi from the 80s and then just do that, and then say,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah.
it's the
But
same character from
it
names
was
or
only
whatever.
yeah, but it's only when Mortal Kombat came out in '95, and
Right.
I saw the trailer for the first time. That to me felt like the game. Yes, I know. I knew back then it was PG-13. I know it's gonna be. It's not R. I'm not gonna see people impaled and whatnot. But it got the aesthetic, and then while they nail us with the theme song, like when that theme song dropped in the trailer, it's like, oh shit, this is something, right? I mean, that theme song still holds up, right? But yeah, back then did not want to see Street Fighter, right? So it's only a few years later where it showed on TV6, right? Because yes, that was how I saw movies that I didn't, or I was either too young or I just didn't care to see theatrically, right? I waited till it come on TV6. I was sort of like, wow, good thing I did not see this theatrically. Wow, right? But I think yeah, I think it was for all ages. It would have been for all ages, not 14 years and over, right? But that's a jump into the show, right? But that's a touch on Jean-Claude Van Damme, right? So you saying yes? I mean, he was hot shit back in the 90s, right? But I would say, and we talk about this with Demolition Man, right? Compared to Arnold Schwarzenegger, a Bruce Willis, or a Stallone, he was like B tier, right? He was B tier,
No,
right?
yeah, and he was the last choice I would have choose for something like Gal, because the obvious answer was like, listen, he is also not American and has a dumb accent, but he at least looked like Gail, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
it was incredibly
But
silly
but
that,
but
like,
though,
yes,
but Horst, the man was doing True Lies, though. It's like
you know,
he was
right,
doing True Lies. So I mean, James Cameron, right? So
right,
right?
yeah,
But yeah, but why I'm bringing up Jean-Claude Van Damme here, right? Because again, I call him B tier, right? You could say he and Steven Seagal is B tier, or maybe
no, no,
Steven
see,
Seagal
no,
was C tier,
no, yes, this guy was pretty always bad. He was always
Yeah,
pretty bad.
yeah.
Yeah, he
What I
never
mean
like,
is like Van Damme's movies, right? Whether it was like Nowhere to Run or Hard Target or Universal Soldier, right? Could never compare to a Terminator 2 or
right,
a True Lies, or you can never compare to a Demolition Man or The Specialist, or whatever it is, right? It could never compare to those shows, right? So I I could kind of understand on people, right? Why Van Damme would have chosen to play this role. In other words, this would have been his first true foray into like big budget filmmaking now, instead of like more B movie kind of stuff like a Universal Soldier or Nowhere to Run or something like that now. So this would have been a big deal for him, right? And yeah, he probably would have been banking everything like, oh well, if this movie is a success, then yeah, it could be starring in bigger films like like a Stallone or a Schwarzenegger or a Bruce Willis, for example, right? But even though the show made money. Yeah, I mean, no surprise. Critics ripped this movie apart, right? And
yeah,
it's for the same,
terrible.
it's for obvious reasons, right?
Yeah,
It don't translate well enough, right?
yeah, it's a mess.
So yeah,
And, he,
so
and
I know even
ultimately, the only thing that stick with me with this film was Raul Julia.
well, Raul Julia, right? R.I.P.
Like,
though, because
yeah,
yeah. So just to touch on Raul Julia for a bit, right? R.I.P. Right? Because yeah, this was his final performance, right? Because I think 2 weeks before the movie
he,
came
he,
out,
he
he
had
suffered a
cancer.
stroke, and I don't know what he was suffering from, but he had a stroke and
I think
he died.
if I remember correctly, he had stomach cancer.
Oh, okay. Jeez, boy. All right. Well,
Yeah,
that
he
explains it,
had
right?
stomach cancer while doing the movie, I think.
Oh, okay. Wow. Huh, right.
Yeah,
So, and I have to bring this up here, right? Because this is the reason why people still regard this film as a so bad it's good movie, right? Now, having seen this film, having rewatched this film literally hours before we even did this, right? I will tell you all, this movie is bad,
terrible.
but but it is there's these baffling calls, right? And also Raul Julia's scene chewing performance, Dread,
Saves it.
that just
Totally saves
elevates the material to so bad it's good hus.
it. Yeah,
So it's one of those shows where I would just the simplest way I could say it. If you watch it by yourself, you will hate watching this. Too. You will laugh at the Bison moment, right? Because yes, Raul Julia's playing M Bison, right? Quite deliriously, right? And you can tell he's just having a blast, just playing this really large and life over the top character, right? But
which is,
yeah,
of course, yeah, yelling to the camera, of course.
yes, of
Yeah,
course, right? Yeah,
and
and
then
dog,
the Tuesday line, I think it's like, okay, that's a
I will
classic.
get to that line in a bit, right? But
Yeah, that's a
dog
classic.
Huss is when he and the when he had he have these beady eyes, Huss, and he stared at the camera too, like Huss, what you doing, Jen? But it working, it's somehow it's working, right? But yeah, if you watch this by yourself, you'll probably just like slap yourself silly for like, boy, why waste my time watching this way? But
Yeah,
if you watch with friends and all they are bears, or you will have a
exactly,
blast watching this
exactly.
too.
Right.
It is
It's
one of
totally,
those shows you have to
yeah, it's a
enjoy
total
it
line movie. Yeah.
in this really like sardonic kind of way. You gotta watch it with friends and you're cracking up. You're laughing at how bad the dialogue is, how bad it's written, why story beats going here and all that kind of place. That's the best way you could really enjoy the show, right? But to be fair, this is a bad movie, right? And I say this too because I know a lot of people like to defend it and like say, yeah, it's bad, but it's a fun movie. It is a fun movie, but it's just bad. It's just bad, right?
Yeah, it's pretty
And
bad.
the key to it though, right? Just talking in retrospect, right? Is again, is just the translation of this material from video game to film, right? Now, I don't know, prior to Mortal Kombat though, like studios, like Hollywood studio just had a way of saying, look, if we put this out on screen as is, and we'll talk about that with the animated movie, people will not understand this thread, right? But at the same time, you want to bring in kids, right? So kids is the people who play, is the ones who play in the games, right? They begging the parents, yo, buy my Sega and buy my Nintendo so I can play this, right? That you need to bring them in too, right? But you also had to bring in the parents, and they're not gonna understand a single thing what's going on too, right? So they had to give them something for them to latch on to, right? Now, when you're a kid, right, and you're hearing things like Sonic Boom, Upper Pit Target, Sonic, sorry, Tiger,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. When you're a kid,
So
right,
that what it was there basically a period in the 90s where you could just pass uh any arcade
yeah,
walking down the
any
street and
arcade, you just
you're
hearing that shit
hearing that
loud.
constantly, exactly.
Yes, I used to, I remember days like that, Dread, right? And as a kid, you never question Tiger Uppercut and
Right.
Hadouken. You never question what they mean. You just know, oh, this is a move and
And,
they
you-
relate it
and,
to this
and you get
character.
it, and you get the pronunciation wrong all the time.
You know, exactly, right? Especially when it comes to like Ken's moves though, like
Yeah,
show
yeah.
you Ken,
Yeah,
all right.
exactly.
Hadouken. You,
Get
you,
that
you
get that
you
wrong.
always used to, yeah, you always used to like talk gibberish, right? So it was like
Yeah.
that when we were young, right? But yeah, when you're young, you never question the logic behind it, right? And especially, and this is one thing I love about Street Fighter 2, right? Compared to Mortal Kombat 2, where there was lore, there was a story going on, right? This one was like, okay, it's simple. It's fighters from around the world. So we go into
Yeah.
different places and you're fighting different characters. Simple, to the point. You're not there as a kid asking yourself, wait now, why Blanca looking like this? Why he green? Why he hair like this? Why he
Terrible.
shocking people? You don't care,
Yeah, I
kid.
remember. I
You're a
remember
kid,
it.
right?
I don't know. Probably the writers of this did never really had a connection to it. I remember my cousin. So yeah, this is a kind of a bad. Is a good memory and a bad memory at the same time. I
Right.
remember my cousin had this it's had this like what it was, boy. It was like a kind of like he photocopy like a bunch of stuff from a magazine to explain these characters about Street Fighter.
Right.
I remember, I remember, my fault. I remember leaving it on my grandmother's bed. And she was like, "What was this demon thing?" And she ripped it up
Oh
and put it
Lord.
and put it in the trash. So and my cousin like cussed me out for that. But yeah, is that like I remember this like it had this all these weird explanations like when Blanca was a boy from he was left in the jungle and he turned to a monster by getting bitten by eels. That's why he could do the electricity. It was weird. Like
Okay,
all of that,
I
like none
swear
of
that
that.
I swear the American TV series. 'Cause I remember there was an episode that emphasized that was about Blanca and oh,
So they wrote
woe is
right
me,
exactly.
I'm a
No, they wrote.
monster, right?
No,
I think
they
that
wrote.
had the backstory for how he
Yeah,
became how he
no,
was
they,
now.
yeah, they wrote all that bullshit after the fact. Like they
Okay,
wrote all of
okay,
that
all
after
right,
the
right,
fact.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
but at the time when the game came out, like when the game came out in '91 or whatever, that they didn't have anything. They just like make up bullshit. Like they
Yeah,
just
that's what it
total.
was. I'm
They had
sorry, it
nothing.
was that.
Yeah,
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 but
they
as
don't
a
have a
kid,
story.
you did not care. It was just like, oh, I could shock this guy. You're not questioning the logic because it's a friggin' fighting game, right? But
Right.
when it came to this movie, and you really see it here, right? The problem is that Hollywood studios, right? That would be Columbia and Universal, right? Had to say, okay, but the parents ain't gonna understand this, and you have to make it make sense, right? Because how the critics go understand characters doing these moves and whatever, right? So you had to have Blanca be Carlos, right? The soldier who working alongside Guile who get
So
captured,
that
right?
thing is
And
okay.
then he
So
goes through
that
what
came
what's that
that
what's that
movie.
what's that and he going through this clockwork orange as kind of aversion therapy. So
Right.
he being fed all these chemicals, right? But he being exposed to all these violent imagery and all that kind of stuff, right? But then now you have Dalton being a scientist who working
Yeah.
alongside M
Right.
Bison.
So
So you
all
have
of
a
that.
moment where he show him like a bunch of like positive stuff. He even throw in the I have a dream speech, and that add to the human side of Blanca. And just they're like, nobody cares,
Right, no, right.
Nobody
So all of that
cares.
came from they do a lot of law building after the fact with
Right.
respect to not this film but with Alpha. So in the Alpha series, they have a
Okay.
character called if I remember correctly, I don't know if it's the same character or he's supposed to be, but a lot of people connected and said no, it's supposed to be Charlie, right? Because remember that Guile-esque character in Alpha there. And that character supposedly went on to become Blanca, apparently. I can't remember the law. I had to go back and learn that shit again because I kind of don't care. But it was that. It was just like they just take a bunch of shit and just like put it together in one script and just like slap it together. I was like,
Yeah.
whatever. Like look,
It,
my
it,
attitude with this kind of stuff is style over substance. I don't really care about hard law building or anything like that. That's something that I really care about in my adult years, right? With this nonsense, right? But at the time, you don't really care if you get good style. It was fine. 'Cause if this movie had good fights, nobody would care. It would be hard. You'd remember that part, but the fights were shit. The story is shit. So
oh
it's like
well,
it's fine.
I will talk about fights now because there were barely any fights in this movie.
Yeah,
Or
it
I would
had
say
nothing.
the majority of fights take place in the third
Who
act of the
was
show, right?
I think yeah. Who was it? Was DJ was in this? Who was he?
Okay.
Who was the actor named by
Oh,
Miguel?
Miguel A. Nunez Jr.
Yeah,
was when I
Miguel
see
Nunez.
he, I
Yeah,
like wait, dog,
he's
why
DJ.
you in this, bro?
And he have
You
do and
you
he have
you you you, you are better than this.
and he have a
I mean,
trash Jamaican accent. It's like, oh god.
boy,
Yeah,
that's me severance pay.
yeah, boy,
That
rough.
is a line that he says in this movie,
Yeah, real
folks.
rough. Yeah,
That's me severance pay. I say
yeah,
like us, no boy,
yeah,
no.
real rough.
Erase that from your resume. Erase that from your IMDb page,
Yeah,
bro.
don't do
No,
that. Do Joanna
no,
Man
Miguel.
instead, right? Yeah,
No, yeah, keep Joanna Manor, but
yeah,
us take out DJ from that us. What was
yeah,
that, right?
rubbish.
But anyway, so they were bit like, all right, so we will get to the animated one in a bit, right? But think about this, right? Title of your movie is Street Fighter. It's a fighting game, right? Now, just to touch on Jean-Claude Van Damme for a bit, right? Now, I kinda understand why they focus more on him, right? He's the American, he is the military hero and all that kind of stuff, right? So yes, you could spin the whole thing about him just being this sergeant or whatever, and he trying to take down this powerful warlord who running Shadaloo and all that kind of stuff, right? Okay, I understand that, right? But and this is what the animated movie nailed much better, right? You know, Ken is American too, right? You could
Right.
focus on Ken and Ryu. You know, you could have the American and you could have the Asian actor, right? You know, well, we didn't want the Asian actor to be the lead. Motherfucker, look at what they did in Mortal Kombat. Wasn't Liu Kang the lead? I
Yeah.
mean, just seeing, right? Whatever. Moving on, right? But yeah, you know, but no, we have to sell Van Damme. So Van Damme have to be the star of it, right? Okay, I understand all that, right? But I felt because they had to lean so much into him, that's why the show just felt
Right.
mostly like this military film. And here's the funny part about this too, like in retrospect, right? So I could imagine people in the 90s was probably poking fun at films from like say Canon films, right? You know, the Golden Globus produced films, right? Like Missing Action or the Delta Force. You know, those Chuck Norris pro America films, right?
Right.
I can imagine people in the 90s was probably laughing at that shit when they acquired those things on VHS, right? And they felt like the movies in the 90s were much better because they had more money and more explosion, all that kind of stuff, right? But dog, this is just as cheesy as those 80s films, right?
Right.
Because it was just this pro-America thing, right? America, fuck yeah, that's what it's going for, right? So yes, a majority of the movie is this military stuff. Is Guile going up against him, and you have well, just to touch on Lieutenant Kami, right, who is played by
Right.
Kylie Minogue, right? This is
Right.
before she blew up in the 2000s
Right.
with her song. Well, you know, back in I think it's yeah in 2000 where she really blew up, right? Yeah, wasted in this though. She just this I don't know. It was just she just like feels like this random British actress in this
Right.
cast
Also,
to be in this role, right?
I don't know. So I can't remember who else was supposed to be in this movie. I think somebody supposed to be playing Fei Long in this, but he couldn't play the character and he had to play a side character.
Oh, Fei Long was supposed to be in this. Okay, I did not
No,
even know
it's
that.
some like a big time martial artist was supposed to be in this shit, and they ended up like scrapping him, or he couldn't like they couldn't fit him in. I had to look it up, and he ended up becoming like he ended up being the side character, but he was supposed to make the movie so much better. Like if he was in it, no. Forget it's either him or he's
Okay,
supposed to play Ryu or something like that. Look, I had to look it up.
I'll look it up, right? And you know, fun fact, I didn't even know this till after the fact. Byron Mann, right? He plays Ryu, right?
Right,
I remember that. Well, he was in stuff like he was in the Expendables. He was also in Man with the Iron Fist and stuff like that, right? Um, but I felt like you know, like at the end of the day, right? You know, like let me be real. As far as just knowing about you know Street Fighter, right? The two key characters really are Ryu and Ken. These are the
right,
two most popular characters, right? That's what the animated movie understood, right? So okay, I understand that in retrospect, right? That Jean Claude was the cell, right? So the fans of his movies would have gone to see it, right? But at the same time, he had to bring in the kids, right? So he had to throw in all these other characters to make things, lighter for them, right? So they're having fun, right? But that is to the detriment of these characters, one, and just the fact that they are side characters and nobody really care about them, right? So case in point, right? You have like Honda and you have Balrog be assistants to Chun-Li, who is played by McGill Ming Na Wen, right?
Right,
It was
right.
cool seeing young Ming Na Wen. I was like, hey, she's still like she was real sweet back then and
Yeah,
today, in my opinion, right? But yeah, understand Chun-Li is a reporter, okay, no problem, right? But you have Balrog and Honda be like just the people in the production truck. That's what you giving them.
yeah.
That's how you
But
taking
yeah,
these iconic characters to play.
Honda is Hawaiian in this.
Yeah,
That was weird.
Hawaiian for some reason.
Yeah.
Like,
What?
he was. Oh, I think Ken says, yeah, you were sumo champion in Hawaii,
Okay.
Japan,
Okay.
motherfucker. Anyway, right?
The thing is,
But yeah,
the character very explicitly Japanese in the show. That whole
thank you.
level. However, moving on.
Yeah. Yeah, you have Vega just be this henchman
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
Sagat, who is played by West Studio. I know he was big back in the early 90s with shit
Right.
like Lassie Mohicans and Geronimo and whatnot, but like Sagat, we talking about Sagat, and he just this gun runner, like just because, right?
Yeah.
It's just these weird calls though. You have Zangief just be an
Yeah.
assistant to Bison. You have DJ just be assistant to Bison, just for no reason, Dread.
Yeah.
Dalsim just be a
And to be
scientist.
fair,
It's like, what?
The Mortal Kombat movie. Well, I'll say the second Mortal Kombat movie does this. Like it just
Yeah, it did that same exact thing,
same
right?
nonsense here.
Where they will just take a bunch of characters and you know that they're
And
part of the world of the game, but just
just
throw them
henchmen
in
here.
just because, right?
And it does random henchmen.
Yeah, just random, like to the point that in the third act, you are seeing a bunch of insanity going on, right? And you forget, oh shit, right, Sagat, right, DJ, right? Because they have to stop
Okay.
to remind you, oh right, Zangief and all that kind of stuff. Because you just don't care because they zero in so much on Guile and M Bison, right? But yeah, just a touch on M Bison, though, yes. Raul Julia steals every scene he's in, but I feel like in retrospect it's because he just understood the material was bad. So it's just like, here's what
Yeah.
they want me to be hammy. I am going to be hammy. I'm going to be hammy, right? If you know, you know, right? That's how he goes. And yeah, he just have so much memorable moments in this, right? Yes, it's cringy dialogue, but how he delivers them, boy, and how he just acts so over theatrical, though it works, right? That moment with him and Chun-Li and Bison is iconic, right? Where
Yeah.
she just detailing, oh, when you and your forces came to our village and you tried to wipe me out and my father tried to defend me and you killed my father. And Bison is just like, look, I don't remember anything that
Yeah.
you just tell me, but to me, it was just Tuesday.
Yeah.
That line still
Yeah.
works.
Classic.
It
Yeah.
had. It had. It had. Him with the console and he just activating the minds and whatnot when when you see oh gosh when you see Guile in the boat in the stealth boat and the blown up and whatnot, and in the end he's like game over, you know what I mean, like stuff like that though. Like those moments really stand out to me, right? And don't even talk about when we think he's defeated and he literally revives himself, right? And he just goes on talking about how he's like not even like he's like God now. And it's like, he telling Gal, you might as well pray to yours because you're gonna meet him very soon though.
Right.
Just so over the top with it though. And I won't lie though, like he is, I mean, like talk like pound for pound, he's the best actor in the whole show anyway. So he
Yeah.
just outshines everybody, even when characters are just being as earnest with their performances, like Ming Na Wen, for example, or just being sidelined, like the guy who played Honda or Blanca or whatnot. By the way, T Hawk though, he's one of the characters who get the worst though, because
He
he
was in
just
this.
did.
Barely remember he
That's
was
the
in
thing.
this.
You will not even know that he was there. He is one of Guile's team members, right? And they had the goal, like when you're going up to stop Bison in the third act, right? They had the goal to stop the show to be like, why do you have that? Why do you have that headband on your head? Oh, because I'm Cherokee and that's there for good luck. And
Terrible.
that's there to tell the audience, oh, this man is T-Hawk, in case you
Like
didn't
you.
know.
Yeah.
Like,
Rubbish.
oh, this serious? Oh, they were really fucking
Absolute
serious.
rubbish. Yeah.
But yeah, but back to Guile. Guile it's because of his accent though. It when he delivers lines, and he trying to do a mixture of serious and like snarky at the same time, like swami at the same time, right? So he trying to have fun, he trying to be all cocky with it too, be trying to be serious at the same time. Most of those moments don't work, right? But I will say he have one moment one moment where you get to chew the scenery. That's the whole the famous got go home line, right? Where the go home sequence where this
Right, right.
guy from this I think it's from Interpol or whatever it is, right? Come and tell him, oh, we're telling you to scrap the mission because we're gonna pay the ransom, blah blah blah, right? And then he had to do the speech in front of his army. So it's like, oh, they're telling us we have to go home, right? But no, I want to kick that son of a bitch's Bison's ass, right? Now who wants to go, or who wants to go home, or who wants to go with me? And it's like, yeah, you know what I mean? You get that moment, right? I won't lie, that was a good moment, right? But because it's Van Damme and you have that really is I not want to say his accent is silly, right? But you have this accent, but how he delivers his line just so silly, but you just had a clap, right? It's just so silly and over the top, but it works because of him, right? But yeah, as I wrap things up, right? Yeah, really what saves the show is Raul Julia though. And to think that this is his final performance though is kind of amazing and kind of sad at the same time, right? And in case you didn't know, there's actually an end credit sequence where it's so ironic now seeing that Raul it died, right? Yeah, Bison actually did not die. You see his hand raised up like real Carrie
Right, right,
style out
right.
in the rubble, and his plan was now world domination. So the point is, oh, this is going to be Street Fighter 2. Get it? Ha ha ha. We could
Right.
have a sequel. But nah, critics ripped this movie apart though, and we
Yeah.
never got a live action sequel, right? There was that Chun-Li film that came out in the 2000s, like late 2000s, with this chick from
Oh
Smallville,
yeah,
Kristen Kripp.
yeah, Christopher.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was terrible. That was always something.
I saw the trailer for that. I was like,
Yeah,
nope,
I know. I never
no,
watched that on in its entirety.
no.
I never actually sat down to watch that in its entirety, but I see reviews and other people making fun of it, and
Me
it's
too. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
pretty bad. But I never watched it myself.
Yeah. So just to wrap things up though, I could understand why now today people call this campy cult classic. And it is,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
is campy. It is campy AF. And yes, it is a cult classic, right? But I see it more like how people call Mortal Kombat Annihilation a cult classic, right? Where people who know the games, right, who love the games will hate the movie, right? But then people who kind of marginally familiar with it will kind of laugh at it and find it funny, so they will go to it and get a good laugh, right? But then there are people who never play the games, right? And that's where this movie falls, right? Just like Mortal Kombat Annihilation, right? Where people who never play the games will watch this thing and not understand a lick of what's going on, find everything that they see here bizarre. Narratively, it makes little to no sense or logic, and they'll just be laughing because of how dumb it is, right? And that's where I find myself, right? Where, yes, I'm not too big in all things Street Fighter, right? And I do even know the law all that well, right? But all these calls just make no sense. They really feel half-assed. They really feel like it's the studio saying, look, we had to explain why Ryu and Ken are the way they are, right? And boy, I have to mention this, right? I have to mention this, right? I will never forget seeing this movie for the first time, right? And I will never forget Ryu did the Hadouken, right? I watched this scene, Ricardo, right? Hear how they do the Hadouken, right? The man do the hand movement, right? The hand movement, right?
A
You
little bit
would
of
think,
light.
right? You would think in the movie you would see like a flash of light come out from his hands, right? And it hit the guy. Similar to like when Liu Kang did the fireball near the
Right,
end to Shang Tsung in the first Mortal
right,
Kombat movie. You think it'd be something like that, right? No
right.
Hus. The screen itself goes white. I watch that scene again, Hus. I watch it closely. No light come on the man hand, the screen itself went white. Like it was just a flash of light that almost take up the entirety of the frame. That is how they do a Hadouken, Hus. In a
Pretty
movie
bad.
that costs, how much this movie costs, right? Let us see.
Yeah, pretty bad.
That costs $35 million, right?
Yeah,
This is
all
how
the
they do a
budget.
Hadouken to the movie, though.
I forget. It was the joke. I tell you, see movies is cheaper. With is all the best lines went up the director's nose. All the money.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, for real, yeah. Because
It's
yeah,
just it's
boy,
just level. 'Cause I think he had a. I think Van Damme. If I remember correctly, Van Damme had a coke problem. I think so. I
I
think
need
so.
to look up that though, because I don't know about this drug problem. I used to hear about it, but I don't know if it was true or not. I really should look that up because yeah, I really should, right? But yeah, though, yeah, at the end of the day, folks, as I get to written, this movie is bad though, but it's just in terms, again, just going back to Hollywood, right? Just not knowing how to translate these characters, right? You want to make Ken and Ryu these hustlers, and that's your way to cut corners, because you don't want to show, oh, they train at a young age and that's how they learn all their powers or whatnot, right? You want to lean so much into the stuff with Guile and Bison, to the point that this movie just comes off like this cheap, like a throwback to like really cheesy 80s like war films, though, you know what I mean? Like something like a Delta Force or Missing Action, though, but in a bad way, though, you know what I mean? um I don't even talk about the dialogue, though. So campy, so childish, though. And this really does feel like a Saturday morning cartoon, just in terms of the dialogue. But I understand, again, going back to Hollywood studios. Oh, but this is all the kids. You know, the kids like that kind of stuff. You know, they like that kind of stuff, right? Let's throw a little hip hop into this, man. Let's make it
Yeah,
fun for the kids, right? But nah, though, this really felt like a slap to the face to the fans of the game, just
yeah,
like
terrible.
how it was for Double Dragon. That's how it was for Super Mario Brothers, right? And who would have think, right, is when Mortal Kombat came out. That's when people like, no, this is how you do a proper video game to film adaptation. And to this day, that
Right.
film stands out one of the best, in my opinion. Probably the best, right? Arguably, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, this is a movie to watch with friends when you're drunk, right? This is not a film to watch by yourself, especially if you're familiar with the games, because yeah, you'll be cussing so much when you watch this, right? So for me, this gets a strong 2 to a very, 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 very like 2.5 out of 5. Yeah, I will back my money, but at the same time, if you're curious, see it if you want to, right? But this is really a movie to watch with friends, get drunk, laugh at it, make fun of the dialogue, make fun of the characters, make fun of just make fun of everything with the show, right? But I understand what he was trying to do, but they just missed the point, right? I'll close this, right? The name of your show is Street Fighter, right? A majority of the fights in the movie take place in the
Yeah.
third act, right? And they
I,
forget the
I,
fact, right? They forget the fact, last point I'll make, right? And then you get to your last word, right? Street Fighter is not just a name trend, it's the characters themselves, right? The fight. That's what it's about. And that's what the animated film, which you're getting to it a bit, Neil, right? Is about these fighters having to prove themselves by facing other opponents, right? It's like wrestling. That's what it was. Like I can't call myself the best unless I face you or unless I face you, right? And even the animated movie nailed this as well too. It's about fighters from around the world, not just this American guy who bringing all these characters together to face this guy in Southeast Asia. No, no, it was about the world aesthetic of it, right? It was about characters from different parts of the globe, fighting and you're having fun with it. That's what it was. Not, oh, Colonel Guile or whatever trying to take down this guy is not that's not what Street Fighter 2 2 or Street Fighter is about to begin with, right? But yeah,
no,
that's what the show
again,
knew. It totally missed the point of what the games is about, right? I wrap
yeah,
up
yeah,
there.
no. Unfortunately, to be fair, that is what it should be about. It's like, all right, you're telling a story, but you're trying to do the thing, and all you have to do is just justify a tournament. Just do the Bruce Lee thing, not hard.
Yeah,
Just
just do that.
just
That's
do the
what the Mortal Kombat movie
what
did,
Mortal
because
Kombat
that's
did,
what the
right?
game
Just
was about, right? It was about
exactly
a
that's what it's
tournament.
about. Just
It
it's just
kept it simple.
you pull, yeah, keep it simple. Pull from the Enter the Dragon. Do that. They can't do that. They start to come up with all kind of bullshit and everything. But to actually like stick to understand the assignment. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's a shame because this no love lost to this game. This movie is effing terrible. The franchise is again still a franchise that largely holds up for me. But yeah, this just nonsense just don't work and just so bad and it's a colossal waste of anybody time. Nothing about it. It's have so little to pull from, and again, it's fun if you're having fun with it. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
You know,
Hmm.
you go again. You get some beers, chill with some friends. That works. But yeah, as it is, I just have almost no patience for movies like this at this point. Like why did I don't know why it exists, but that's how it is. Moving on.
Yeah. Well, I know you didn't watch this show in preparation for this. You didn't
Nope.
rewatch it, right? Well, lucky you, right? But yeah, what would you rate it now,
Yeah,
in
this like
retrospect?
yeah, but like a 2 out of 10 or a worse. It's like that too little to pull from to see because it not even charming. Like it not even like a charming kind of thing. Again, only because of Raul Julia, he saves it. But that's about it. You know, nothing else that working for me. Like I can't get into any of this or have any fun with it or anything like that. It's like, oh okay, why you make this? All right, moving on. Next.
Yeah, so next, yeah, let me talk about the superior of the two shows, right? That would be Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, right?
And to be
So,
fair, this new show I think is superior, but it's just as corny, yeah? Pretty damn corny.
oh, it is.
Uh,
Oh, well,
Yeah,
good thing I bring up that
total,
too. Good thing I
total,
bring up
total,
that too.
total schlocker.
Yeah.
But
Oh, it
it
is
just
right. But
at least
good
it
thing I
at
bring
least
up that, right?
it one charming. Two, they have some good fights in this too.
It is, yeah. So quick preamble for this, right? So I didn't even know of this movie's existence till a little event, RIP, called Anime City.
Oh,
That
you
was the
don't? Oh,
first
wow!
time. That was the first time I
Wow!
saw this
Well,
movie.
you are really late though.
First time I saw that there, right?
That
And
Anime
then
City was in
I
maybe
think
two
like about
thousand.
a year or two later, I saw it on cable. Or maybe I have it wrong. I think I have it like the other way around, right? But I
I see
do
this.
remember this showing in Anime City. It would have shown, like
No,
probably
yeah,
one in
no,
the earlier years.
it definitely showing Anime City, but I first saw this on cable, like on Cinemax. I don't know what year this was. 98, 97, I want to say. I remember just watching this with friends, thinking it awesome. Like, what's this? It's hard.
Right.
And
Yeah. Well, I didn't get cable till 2000, so
okay,
I
no
was
problem.
late to that party,
Right,
right? So
right.
yeah, I think I probably first saw it in Anime City, but yes, I did see it a couple more times. A sort of the unrated version for this, and yeah, there's a reason why it's unrated. We'll get to that in a bit, right? But
Yeah.
yes, I remember seeing it, and yes, comparing it to the live action film, which I saw before this, I was like, yeah, I mean, it's like chalk and cheese, right? Like this is the better film, right? Easily, right? And just to get into it, right? So for me, what makes it work too, right, is that not only is the show more authentic to the source material, right? I like that the fact that it did not overcomplicate things, right? They understood first off, right? The mere fact that this is anime, right? It makes perfect sense. Is a great call, right? It's not like where like when you see anime, right? When we grew up on anime, when we see it then and how we see it now, right? You could go fantastical, you could go over the top, you could be grandiose, you could be insane, right? It's anime, anything goes, right? Literally anything goes, right? So translating the video game to this make perfect sense in my opinion, right? It was like with live action where, oh, you have to explain why Blanca's like this and like that. And second call, great call they make with this, right? They treat the characters in this show like, all right, you know the game, you knew when you put in this VHS tape or when you pull up the show to watch or whatnot, you know that this is an adaptation of the game. So we are not gonna stop to hold your hand and tell you who this character is or who that character is. We'll say the name,
Yeah,
but
but
we'll
the
give you
first thing,
enough of the moves now so you know who the character is, just in
exactly.
case you forget. But we're not
Yeah.
gonna stop to explain. Oh, this is why Dalsim have this power, and this is
No,
why
but the first
Honda have
thing,
that.
the
Why
first,
he have that skill set?
yeah,
They don't
the
waste
first
time with that. They
no,
don't.
the first obvious thing is that characters actually look like the characters. Like I don't
Thank
have
you.
to
Yep. Mhm.
guess or speculate as to who this is. Like, wait, that's who she
Like
is.
in particular Honda. Like I supposed to look at
Yeah,
this
Honda.
Hawaiian guy. Like, wait, you
Yeah,
are
that's for
Honda.
sure. Yeah, but
You are Honda.
the reason I think it's Honda is a fat guy. That's it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's it. It's
exactly,
like he fat and he big and he kinda Asian. Like well, Hawaii and Japan have a lot of overlap, but that's about it. But it's like no, that don't look like Honda at all. So it's like where Honda. But the
exactly.
characters in this
At least Honda in this one have the
looking like Honda.
have the tattoo on the feet. I'm
Yeah.
assuming it's tattoo or face paint, or whatever. He have that on the face, bro. Like
I
that's
mean,
what we
looking like
want.
Honda, and the character look like Honda. Like the opening, like they have that opening sequence with
With Ryu and Sagat, and they look
yeah,
like
look
the
great.
characters from the game.
They look
Yes, I
like that,
love
right?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had the early fight with Zangief and Blanca. Yep,
And Blanca, yeah.
look like each other.
That scene in particular I love too because the show didn't
Yeah,
stop to ask you,
no,
oh, this is why Blanca look like this. This is what they just say, oh, he come from the jungles of Brazil, blah
that
blah
was it.
blah. But what was great, right? I think this is a really smart call, right? Is that it's how they set it. Is Las Vegas is like this show in a casino. So it's like, oh, come and see, this really awesome street fight or fight between these street fighters, whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
So you have Zangief, and yes, Zangief is he is a over the top character, right? Even
yeah,
though he don't have like fantastical powers, but yeah, his mannerisms though is very fantastical, right? And then you pay him with Blanca, but again, they didn't stop to tell you, oh, this is why Zangief is like this, and this is why Blanca is like that. No, this how the two of them fight. Boom, that's it. Zangief gets shocked. The end. That's it.
yeah,
Get to the point. Move on, right? I love how the fights they're not drawn out too long, but they get to the point of things. They just like about a minute long. Well, those little side fights or whatnot, but they get the gist of what's going on, right? So, like case in point, Dawson versus Honda, right? They don't stop to tell you, oh, this is why Dalsim have these powers. And but I'm not versed in all things Dalsim, right? But he catch me with the whole like hypnotism powers. Like he do this kind of thing with the eyes, and it was to the point where oh gosh, where Honda felt weak and it was almost like his hands were like heavy. right? Like
Correct.
he was being worn down. Like I did not know that Dalsim have these that skill
You
set
don't have
about
that, I
him.
don't think, as far as I know, you don't have that in the game, in the
Okay,
old games. Like, you don't
right.
have that.
Can you just
I
know
think
the
the logic,
stretching powers and you know the flame. That's all you know,
I think
right?
the logic of that was that it's supposed to slow you down, so it's supposed to be the teleport now. So
Right.
from your perspective, he teleport now, but he didn't really teleport. He just slow you down now to make it look like his
Yeah, yeah,
illusion.
yeah.
That's what they were
Exactly.
good for. Yeah.
And even like a character like Fei Long, who just had an appearance, and I
Right.
didn't mind it was an appearance, even though when I rewatch it, I assumed that he had a bigger role to play, but he didn't, right? Even though it's kind of funny that they kind of have him be the sort of Johnny Cage character in this way, where he's this actor, but it's just basically to say, oh, he's the Bruce Lee of this franchise, so let me just have him do the Bruce Lee isms and whatnot, right? Yeah, he have a moment where like he do the little flame kick and whatnot, and
Yeah.
again, the show did not stop to tell you this is how he could do this. He just say, this I'm gonna show you my best move, right? And then he does it, and that's it, right? So to touch on that, right? Just like, but I felt that this one did it better, right? Yes, this is cheesy. It is grandiose. It is over the top. It is ridiculous. It is silly. Even right down to the certain lines that characters say, right? Whether you're watching the Japanese dub or the English dub, I actually prefer the English dub, in my opinion. I think that it is better. Also, this mainly because of the music, though. I felt like the music for the English dub is a lot better, right? It have like a lot of rock. It have a bit of hip hop in it as well too. While the Japanese dub had just these, like standard anime music, if you know what I talk about, right? Like the
Right.
standard kind of bubblegum pop kind of stuff. Like case in point, right? Like the end credits, like you hear this hard rock song now, right? In the English dub, in the Japanese dub, you hear this bubblegum pop song. And like, why does it sound like the intro to, like, I don't know, some shit like Sailor Moon, or Vision
Yeah.
of Escaflowne or something.
Yeah.
Why does it
Exactly.
sound like that?
Yeah. Kind of typical J-pop kind of thing. Whatever.
Yeah, like it don't match with the material, but that's just me,
Right.
right? If you
Yeah.
prefer the Japanese dub, whatever, right? I prefer the English one, right? But yeah, the dialogue is cheesy. Just the vibe of it though is very over the top, right? And you really see it with the fights though, just how over the top and larger life they are, right? In particular, though, that final fight though between Ken and Ryu and Bison though,
Yeah.
so over
Great.
the top, right? But
Yeah.
it works though because
Yeah. It's
you
hard.
just invested into the story, and yeah, that fight scene was hard, right? And I would say that, and the next fight I'll talk about, you could have that up there as probably like you could argue that the fight I'm gonna talk about next is the best fight in the whole movie, but like right now it's like a wrestling match. Like I have this final fight and this one I'm gonna mention right now as the two main best ones in this, right? Of course, I'm talking about the Chun-Li versus
Right.
Vega fight, right? So
Yeah.
I'll never
Okay.
forget seeing that for the first time in the home
Yeah.
media
Hard.
version, the censored version, right? And yeah, back then because I mean, let me be real, like even though you didn't really see it in Street Fighter 2, but throughout the years and in her incarnations over the years, especially like for me, like when I saw Marvel versus Capcom, that's when I really like kind of realized for myself, yeah, Chun-Li's a body though. Like
Oh
she
yeah.
she
Yeah.
she, she,
For
have,
real.
she a body though.
The
Like with the
internal body.
tickle, especially with the tick legs. It was like,
Yeah,
oh,
the
okay,
original,
yeah, yeah,
the new game have her like, well, she kind of elderly now because that's what they do in the material though.
right.
Uh, she was always about from
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
time. Yeah,
But I would say this movie kind of certify that though, because in the unrated version, right, they like prior to Vega, who works for Bison, right, breaking inside in Chun-Li's apartment to kill her, right? Yeah, you get a couple of nude scenes.
right.
And like I forgot, like I knew there was like one or two, but I watch it like with the show front and back, like, okay, yeah. So I imagine if you were a kid back in the 90s, you saw that, well,
Yeah, real dong bad thing. Yeah,
yeah. Like this was what you was imagine Charlie to look like when you was playing Street Fighter 2, right? Clearly, right? But yeah, that is the advantage of anime. They could go like that, right? But yeah, it is schlocky stuff. That's why it's there, right? And it's
yeah,
anime, so they could get away with that shit, right? So it's like
yeah.
that, right? But yeah, the cell really is her in Shinite with she panties and bra on, and she fighting Vega, right? And Vega just don't give a shit. He just slashing she on the in United what that. So yeah, there's the worst shots where you see them legs and you see the panties, all that kind
Right.
of stuff, right?
Yeah. As usual, typical anime gratuitous panty shots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And especially when she doing the spinning bird kick, yeah, they had to
yeah.
emphasize on the ass. So like,
But
all right,
what they do it,
I
what they do it,
choice
they
to
do
you
it with
show.
smart. But this they do it with smart because how the powers is working. In this, she doesn't do the spinning bird kick like so floating above the air. She's standing on her hands
Yes.
and doing the attack now. Like, okay, that was cool. Because the super powered part was the final sequence where she did the flurry kick now. Like, I
Yes,
would.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, that fight is so badass though,
Yeah,
and
that's
in the
cool.
English dub, they
What
had
was what was the car? What was the car the guy was driving? It was
oh, I don't remember.
yeah.
But it was a blue car, a blue colored car. That's
It
what I
was
know. I don't know the
it's a
type of car
Porsche.
it
I
was.
think it's just a Porsche 91, 911.
Is that a reference to because I don't know, like I was watching it, I was watching both him and Ken's cars, right? I was
Right.
wondering if that was supposed to be a reference to the game, right? Where if you remember for Street Fighter 2, they used to have like these, yeah, you used to like beat the shit out of a car for like about a
Right,
minute.
right, right. The car that now it's not. I don't think it's same car he had a beat up, but I think it like in the end of one of the 2D games, they drive off in a car or something like that. I can't remember the exact.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
yeah, yeah,
because
something like that, right?
Ken's ending, the ending with Ken was different now because that's the thing with these things. It's so inconsistent in terms of the story and what the game was. Now, whatever, it's small thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's fine.
But that's
Uh,
a wrap up the fight though. There's this great rock song that plays in the English dub though. That was
yeah,
badass though. But just the fighting in it was great though. Just yeah, it's just basically yeah, Chun-Li gets she ass wash and she come back and wash Vega ass. So like both of them were almost even in terms of the ass washing, right? One of
yeah.
the moments for me though is when he get hit in the face. Well, sorry, when he get
Yeah,
well
when she
bruised in
turned
the
on the
face.
heel. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
he bruised her face and then she turned on the heel and spin it to the face. And like, oh, that was a good
yeah,
moment.
and
But
he's like, you know, my
why?
face. Look what you did to my face, you
Yeah,
bitch. I'm gonna kill you, right? Yeah,
yeah.
that was the moment. I was
Why?
like, oh shit,
But
right?
why it work? Why the scene work is that because the Chun-Li is kind of a hard counter to Vega in the game. So like, if you want to beat Vega,
Oh,
and if you
hmm,
want to use Chun-Li, Chun-Li is like one of the best people. I mean, Ken and Ryu just counter everybody, but like she's like the hard counter to Vega. If you want to cook now, because she could do this like mid such a little. Again, the other line up with the aesthetics and what people feel about or remember the games when they make it a game.
right,
Don't come up with your own thing. You can't
yeah,
fuck it up. Do something
right,
that make remind people of the game.
right. And lastly, in retrospect, one thing I like in retrospect, right, is that you was mentioned with Gal, because yeah, Gal was trying to call her phone, but she wasn't answering me. Well, I think he found out because like the phone was off the hook or something like that, so he knew something was wrong and he was racing to her apartment to save her. Man shows up right after the man after Vega literally
Comes
gets kicked out of the window. So I like
Yeah,
that.
he comes too late. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Guile was that the male American savior come to
But he's trying to
save
write the idea was he was
Chun-Li.
trying to say
Chun-Li
I think he heard her.
held her own dread. Like Chun-Li
Yeah, yeah,
held she
exactly.
grown. I
Yeah,
respect that.
but
That's great.
I think he heard her over the phone and that he
Yes.
speed through traffic to try to get. Yeah, I remember the scene. I was
Yeah.
like, ah, yeah, I
But
did it.
they would think like if somebody wrote this differently, oh Kyle would have come in just in nick of time
Right.
and do a
Well,
sonic boom
the thing is,
and defeat the man. And it was
yeah,
like, no, she whooped the man ass. I love that.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I thought they was gonna do to be honest, because like Guile is a hard counter to Vega too.
Yeah.
In the game, so it's like, all right, see,
Yeah, yeah. So another thing I like too is how they emphasize on certain characters, right? So if I just have a gripe in retrospect, right, is that other characters just kind of introduce and you do see them again, right? So case in point, you see oh gosh, you see DJ, right? You know, he's
right,
just the outside of this
yeah,
club.
yeah. You
And
don't do
like
it,
apparently he is the DJ of the club and like he kicks some
right?
men like, oh, you don't like how loud my music is? Well, fuck you, blow. He literally like beat them outside. That was a nice cameo, but I wish we got more
Yeah,
out of
fight
him with
you.
that, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, Seeing it with Fei Long, like I thought Fei Long was gonna have a bigger role in this movie. I know that he have a bigger role in the series. I remember that,
right,
even though it's I have faint memories of the show, right? But I know Fei Long had a bigger role to play in that series, right? But yeah, he was just there and he fight Ryu and he mentioned something about Ken in the process or something like that. That was weird, right? Also, like I think they probably continue this in the series, right? But yeah, there's a moment where well Sagat was trying to get vengeance on on Ryu for scarring him, right, in the beginning of the show, right?
I get yeah, I get caught up.
But then he tell Bison, yo, I want to go up against Tingna because he ended up well at the time they ended up brainwashing Ken and he wanted
Right, right,
Ken to
right,
be the
right,
one to
right.
face Ryu, right? But Sagat wanted to be the one to face him, but Bison
Right.
like, no,
Okay.
no,
So
no, no.
it had
Like,
this. I can follow. At the time, I remember not following the plot, but I remember it had this whole thing with a robot scanning them,
yes,
taking
it's
data.
called a monitor cyborg though.
Right.
Which yeah, unfortunately didn't do much with that neither. 'Cause I thought like one of the characters would have at least fought one of them, right? But what happened
Right.
in that same DJ sequence? There was one who spied on them, and Charlie just ended up doing the spin kick, kick the man, kick the cyborg head off, and that was it, right? But yeah,
Right.
they incorporate a little bit more of that, right? And I'll talk about the end, right? Because yeah, they did some with that with a character like that too, right? But yeah, with Sagat now they say, oh, well, by to say no, I want you to go to New York I owe you to go. I owe you to kill Kami, right? Because Kami was supposed to assassinate this person, this
Right.
politician, but they didn't really do much with that character, to be honest. And she got arrested by Chun-Li and them, and she was in interrogation and whatnot. And they did, well, he
Right.
just say basically, we not accepted failure, so you gotta go and kill her. They never follow up on that. They never
Right.
follow up on that. So I don't
Yeah.
know if they did in the series. I don't know. I should follow that up. I should look it up, right? Um, but yeah, some characters are pushed to the forefront though. So it will be Guile, it will be Chun-Li, it will be Honda, it will be like Ryu and Ken and whatnot, right? But some will be sidelined for reasons, right? So like Balrog, for example, like dude didn't really do anything. Well just say the only moment he get was just to fight Honda, and that was really it, right? But still seeing them there and seeing them look the way they look and having them like feel like they like where they are, like it makes sense where they are, right? So Sagat and Balrog working alongside Bison made sense. Vega working alongside Bison makes sense, right? I also like, even though it is over the top, right? The conceit of these random street fighters or fighters or just skilled martial artists being captured and brainwashed and used as puppets for Bison, right? So that's what happened with Kami, right? And yeah, even Kami and all get to have she little bit of gratuitous moment though when she do the little kick and whatnot, real focused on the ass or whatnot. Like,
Of course.
yeah, sure. I know Kami's a body too. Kami's a body too. I get it, sure, I understand, right? So it's like that, right? Even Ken Gill is a body too. Like, it's just
But she in the I remember she was in the ending, like when they beat because Kenneth get married in his ending. I think it's the
yes,
same.
that is true. That is
Yeah.
true. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the
Yeah.
same gear. I think so.
Right. Yeah. I actually do like the dynamic with Ken and Riley. I do like that. They just these traveling warriors, and well, as even though Ken sort of settled down, Ryu just sort of like wandering, right? If I just have another gripe though, I just felt like throughout the show, you just seeing Ryu popping up in one place he next. So like he in India, he in China, he in Thailand, and all that kind of stuff, right? I just did like, oh, so okay, I understand given the nature of the show, he fights. That's how he make money by fighting, right? But bro, you just wearing the same clothes, you had the same bag, you walking barefoot, like horse, how you getting on planes barefoot, bro? And yet you expect me to assume you just like traveling just so like, yeah, this is my life. I just travel, I beat
I
people up.
you,
You know
you
what I
can
mean?
the thing is you could technically, even though you could, but if it'll take you a very long time, you could technically walk almost everywhere. I'm sure.
I know, but
So
between countries, bro, I talk
yeah,
about between countries because
I get it.
remember
So
he
where
he
where
hopped
everything
because it's
where
specific.
was
Because
Ryu in
sorry,
this?
sorry, it's specific countries he goes to, and yes, because it's Street Fighter, it's countries where certain characters reside in. So Sagat being from Thailand, yes, he was in Thailand, right? Dalsim being from India, he was in India,
Right.
right, and so on and so forth. They do that, right? But yeah, so that means he hop on a plane, right? It's Street Fighter 2. He hop on a plane. At the
Right.
same clothes, barefoot. Why? I don't understand.
Yeah, I could follow where he was. I get the sense that you could walk from Thailand to India. I don't know. I will.
I guess so, right? And
I
yeah,
don't know where. I can't remember exactly where Ryu was in the locations. Like, but whatever. It was
okay,
like the on a plane.
yeah, and a couple things that well, they never really explain what he's traveling for. It's just okay.
Right.
So just to get to the over the topness, right? So they had to do the whole fighting spirit thing. So it's about him trying to understand what it means to be a warrior. So he's going to different countries and facing different people, so he could understand his warrior spirit, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, okay, but it still don't
Right.
explain why you just going from place to place
Yeah.
barefoot just so out of the blue with the same fucking clothes. I don't
Yeah.
understand. It makes no sense, right? I know this show doesn't stop to explain, but I don't know. That was just bugging me. Like,
Right.
why though? I'll tell you why. Because I'll tell you why it was bugging me. Because a huge emphasis of the show was on him, right? Because they
Yeah.
set up early on thanks to the whole monitor cyborg who was observing fight with him and Sagat. Oh, his skill set is over 2,000 or some shit like that, right? Like, oh, he's the ultimate fighter. So of course, because it's Street Fighter, yeah, Bison needs him to be the ultimate warrior. He needs to brainwash him and be the ultimate warrior, right? So like he following him all over the place. That well, because he couldn't really find him, he go for Ken first, right? And then as Ryu meets Ken now, you know, Bison show up, and that's where we had the final fight, right? So it's like that, right? But at the same time, it's like, okay, you really want to get Ryu though, like
Right.
okay, you're telling me because he's the strongest fighter in the world, but you tell me in the world, you tell me that nobody else who better than him. Because his theory was that okay, well Ken just as close as it is a fighting style, it's just a fighting quality, like than Ryu is. So let me just take around Ken and brainwash him, right? But like it's just the emphasis is so much on Ryu now, you know what I mean? It was just weird, right? Like when you just stop and think about the story, right? But because of the nature of the show and because the game it's from, you kind of don't care now. But in retrospect, it's like, but still, they could have this kind of neatened up just a little bit though. But yeah, other than that though, this is a superb video game adaptation compared to the live action version, like by far, right? For one thing, just staying true to the game. It just look just right out the gate, it nails the fighting aspect, the one-on-one duels, right? That's what the live action film chose to put near the end, right? You know, with the exception of one fight with Ryu and Vega in the first act of the live action film. But that was
Right.
just neither here nor there, right? This one felt more, let me just say, logical, right? You know, you go to a different country, like the game. You go to a different country, you see two characters fighting. It's people that you know, but it's a progressive story. You know, it's not just there for the sake of being there, right? Also, fun fact, I love the fact that you have a blink and you miss it cameo from Akuma.
Okay, right, yeah, okay. I
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, in India, there's a scene where you just see this guy just sitting by this wall, like by this building. And yeah, if you watch him close, it's Akuma.
Right.
But I don't know if Akuma was created at the time when this movie came out or
Oh
not.
no, yeah, no, Akuma existed because if they're referencing anybody from Super Street Fighter, remember he was in Super Street Fighter.
Oh
He was a
yes,
secret
yes, yes,
character.
yes, that's true. Yeah, 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 yeah.
He was
So
a secret. He
yes,
was a secret character. He had to do some bullshit to unlock. Whatever, I can't remember.
right, right. Yes, yes, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause yeah, when I first saw the movie, I was like, oh shit, look
But
at
also
Akuma though.
Akuma was in the American cartoon as well.
I
There was an
remember.
episode.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
where both Guy and again it was dumb because Guile and Bison was fighting him. Why? Whatever.
I don't know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, the fight scenes were very, very well done. I mean, yes, it's 90s anime we talk about, right? You know, but
Right.
still, I just love how fluid the fight scenes are. That's how I love how
Yeah.
kinetic they
That's
are as
great.
well too. It really feels like you're watching a fight. Like you're playing the game itself, right? And yeah, just them. Well, I would say there was no fight that really felt that fell short though. But yeah, the top two easily is Chun-Li and Vega. That one still holds up to this day, right?
Yeah.
And then of
Yeah.
course the final fight with Bison and Ken and Ryan. And this Bison is being an asshole throughout all this, real taunting. Like, oh, this is the best you could do. I thought you were the best warrior. Like that man was real talking shit. Joe. I was like, nah, Huss, shut this man up, eh? And that's exactly what they did. I love when they do that, right? I will never forget, because again, I know I saw this in Anime City, right? Yeah, I remember the audience kind of going mad when, well, just kind of being excited, if you will, with the ending of the film, right? Because yeah, what happens in
Uh,
the end in
They did weird as hell and made no sense. That don't make
I
no sense.
know, I
That make
know,
no sense. I don't know what the fuck that was about. Whatever.
yeah. So
Why
yeah, so
why is
yeah,
Bison driving a truck? I don't know. Whatever.
I don't even know. But yeah, you
Yeah,
know what
whatever.
happens is that because in the States at this moment, right? Because you see like oh gosh, some generic American gas station, whatever it is, right? And that is where Ken's girlfriend is, right? So yeah, Ken girlfriend or fiance in this case, yeah, come pick him up and sorry, yeah, she come and then you just drive off and whatnot, right? And of course, Ryu just being wonder to say, hey, you know what, I'm just gonna walk the other way, right? So yeah, he's walking and then just out the blue, you just see Bison in this truck speeding at him, right? But
Uh,
what will make it interesting is not just the fact that Ryu turn around and then jump into to punch him, right? Or to punch the windshield or whatnot, right? But there's a monitor cyborg who is monitoring everything. That's
right.
like a hint at
I
like at the time when you saw it, I was just like, oh, so
I
there's
couldn't.
a sequel, like a sequel movie to this. I was looking it up and like, no, there was none. And then
I
that
couldn't
was that
follow.
was when I found out about the TV series, well, the
Right.
the the follow up series now.
Right.
But I
I
don't
couldn't
think
follow.
I don't remember if the series even followed up from that, because again, I
Right.
barely remember the anime
No,
series at all.
that had a different continuity. No, I think that came out earlier. So it
Oh,
was the
oh
same thing.
right, okay, okay.
But no, but I can follow this because wait, and Bison is the one running the cyborg, or who running the cyborgs then? I can follow
No,
that.
no. Well, Bison was. Bison is the one who
Right.
created them. Yeah, he
So
he was
right.
running everything.
So why does he in a truck to chase down Ryu to him to scan him to kick a truck? I don't understand.
I get where you're coming from. I
What are you
get where you're
driving the
coming
truck
from.
for? Like
Yeah,
I couldn't follow this at
why
all.
is he this guy who have all these psycho powers and
Right.
real bragging about how dread he is? Why is he
Yeah.
driving a truck? It's
Yeah.
and how he knew? How did he know in retrospect, right? That Ryu was going to be on that road.
Apparently, he tracked him down
Yeah.
to drive a truck to scan him to whatever. Moving on.
I don't know,
Yeah, like I said, you can
and
get into the
also
final
that
fight itself.
that's last point, right? Wouldn't it have made sense to just go after Ken and just crash that car and kill
I couldn't
everybody?
follow.
But
I couldn't
anyway,
follow.
nobody cares. It was just
Yeah.
the end. It was just to get you like, holy,
Yeah.
it was to get you excited for what's to come next, right? It's
But
just
the
because
final
the
fight
continuity
itself,
is just kind of weird.
the final fight itself is pretty badass. So
Of course, yeah.
it was Honda versus who boy?
It was Honda. Right. So I said it before. It was Honda versus Right. So it started off with Honda and Balrog.
Right, 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 right.
Then it was Bison and it was Bison and Guile.
And Guile, right? Yeah, you had
Then
Guile couldn't keep up with him because Bison's teleporting, and
right.
it was more like Shin Bison than anything. It was Bison from the Alpha
Yes.
movies, right? Yeah,
Yes.
there's that version of Bison.
Yeah, and then it was Ken and Ryu, but then usual thing Ken had to remember from me past from when he was training and all that good shit.
Right. So
Oh,
yeah,
Ryu's my friend. Blah,
Ryu had
right.
to cut Yas, Ryu had to cut Yas basically and do the Avengers thing, right? So and
Yeah,
dirty him
yeah,
and
exactly.
to unbreed wash him.
Yeah.
Then the actual final fight with Ryu and Ken versus Bison, which is pretty badass.
It
Uh,
was though.
Mostly because
No lie. When
they just totally hyper all of his Bison's moves in this, and it looked great.
yes,
Uh,
boy, and I
yeah,
just love he just have this smirk on his face, like, yo,
yeah,
I am the baddest motherfucker here. Y'all not gonna stop me, Dread. But I will like I get chills when I see Ryu and Ken charge up real Hamikami, however it is,
no,
and they do the Hadouken
they do
together.
some kick
I was like,
ass, they do some kick
whoa.
ass parts. Like they do the part where he grab Bison, grab uh I think it's Ryu, kind of one of them, and then sort of hit them like a punches in the face. One, two, and then he
Yes, no,
throw
no, he do that to Ken. He do that to Ken, and
right, and
true Ken, he
throw Ken
trues
into
Ken.
and then
Like,
right after that he do the slide, and the slide badass. And it's like I wish the slide was more
yes,
like that in the
boy.
game. But the
No,
slide in the game is
I
just
love how
a
he
slide.
say it, right? You know, 1, 2, 3, you're out. And
Mm-hmm.
he do the slides. It's almost like a baseball slide. Like,
Exactly.
oh, I like that. I
But
like that. That was
the
hard. That was
slide in
hard.
the slide in the game is a classic move. But in this,
Yes.
it's like this jet rocket thing that just blasts you to whatever like that badass. Um,
Yes, boy. Yeah,
he
yeah,
never
yeah.
actually do the Psycho Crusher. I don't remember him doing the Psycho Crusher. But that slide is like basically a Psycho Crusher.
Mm,
And then right after that, I forget what, he hold on to his leg, and then I think his Ryu can do the spin kick, the spectacle Duket,
yeah.
and then he do the uppercut
And can
one
do the
time.
show you can.
Yeah, one
Yeah,
time. It's
can
like
do the show you can right after that. I was like,
yeah,
word,
that
are
was
we talking
badass.
about, right?
Now we talking about
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, just tapping into the energy of the
the
game
game.
itself, right?
Yeah, that's what I
And
had to do.
it
Yeah.
works, yeah. And that sorry, but that's what we wanted from that live action film, right? Like, when you tell me, right? That's as we wrap things up, right? When you tell me, Dread, live action Street Fighter movie, as a kid, you tell me you're thinking, oh, this game that I've been playing or I've been seeing people play, I want to see that on screen. That's
Yeah.
awesome. With Van Damme, like Van Damme, talking about the Universal Soldier, yes, we want that, right? And then you just get this watered down,
Sense, yeah.
military base film that that don't even feel like the game's like, what is this, right? So to think that this animated movie, this anime film, nail the conceit so much better, right? But I will say it is because of the format of it, right? This it's anime. You don't again, you don't have to stop to explain how a character could do something like a Dukin. In live action, you had to kind of stop and explain, right? With the exception of like Mortal Kombat, where it's all fantasy stuff, and it's a fantasy place there. So like when Liu Kang does the fireball, it's like you don't have to ask how you do that. It's like, dog, the point is Shang Tsung's supposed to fall into these get impaled into these spikes. That's the point. You know how
Right.
to ask with how you do this move. It don't matter, it's Mortal Kombat. Shut up, right? But I love how this one is this at the end of the day, just basically say, look, it's a video game. If you don't like video games, this is not for you. If you're not a fan of Street Fighter, this is not for you. But if you want to, if you saw if you saw the live action film and you just felt it was garbage, and you want to see how a proper adaptation looks like, watch the animated movie, right?
Yep.
But it's just weird in retrospect, right, that we saw this like years afterwards. Like if we got this somehow theatrically the same year, it would have been like, what? Like,
That
oh,
would have blew me away.
yeah, that would have blown everybody away, right?
That would have blew me away.
Even though the animated film came out before the live
Yeah, I
action one,
saw
which
it.
is
I
so
saw it.
ironic, eh, in
The
retrospect.
thing is, I saw it. I saw this on cable like '95. Like I know I see this real leisure. Like I know I
Oh,
saw
so
this
it
on
was
cable.
released so quick though. Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I remember seeing it like well within the 90s and long before 2000, like even before like 98. I think I know I see this at least 97 or 96. I remember seeing it on cable. Like I was watching it. It had to be at least 90, like latest 97. Like
Okay.
so that's yeah. I don't know. Go back and check when Cinemax was showing this on your old calendars. I'm sure it had that online somewhere. Um,
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Cinemax used to run some anime back in the days too, right?
right,
Back in the good old
exactly.
days, right? Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, not surprised. Yes, this is the better of the two. This and I'm really surprised at how this show really stands up, right? I mean,
Yes.
yes, you can talk about the animation being dated and whatnot. Look, it's
It's the
94,
90s.
bro. This
Yes.
is how anime looked like back in the
That's how it looked.
90s,
Yeah,
like
that
a
all
story.
everything was looking like that back then.
Yeah,
Technoman, all of that shit. All of them was looking like
lot of shadows and lot of like
yeah,
muscles and whatnot. That's how early 90s anime used to look like a story, right?
right,
And good thing you bring up Technoman, because I remember like this voice actor, I can't remember his name. He was the one who played the politician in the English dub. I remember him having this voice. I think his name is Milton James. I
okay,
remember his voice being in Technoman. I think that was like the first time I heard his voice. Yeah, he's like this real famous like English dub guy, like actor. He always pops up in a lot of anime. I remember his voice in the first Ghost Shell movie as well, right?
right,
But
right,
yeah,
right.
this movie works too. This is like if you were burnt by the live action one, this is like the perfect palate cleanser, right? And yes, I will gladly say that this is one of the best video game to film adaptations we've ever gotten, right? Just simply because it's animated and they could like just not give a fuck, right? They could just do it, like just stay true to the game, just make it be all badass and edgy as much as they want to, and not have to over explain shit, right? And that's what this show did so well, right? But just at the end of the day, just staying true to the core material. Just really remind us, yeah, why this franchise is so why it stands the test of time, right? Even right up to this day. So yeah, I will call this a guilty pleasure movie. I'm not gonna call this like some masterpiece or anything like that. Like it's not like one of the greatest animated films I've ever seen in my life, right? But it's a guilty pleasure movie. I can watch this by myself, like on a Saturday night or whatever it is, and just have a blast, just have fun watching it. And yes, I can watch it with friends and just have fun. Me that's watching this movie, right? Compared to having, unintentional fun, watching what is ultimately a bad movie, right? So yeah, Street Fighter 2, the animated movie, for me as a guilty pleasure, gets a decent to strong 4 to 5, man. And if you haven't seen this film, yeah, definitely check this out, though, especially if you are a Street Fighter fan, right? But if yeah, I'll say this, like if you've never seen this show but you're familiar with the live action one, yeah, please watch this one and you'll understand. Yeah, this is how that live action film could have been done. I don't want to hear no excuse but, oh, Hollywood and people wouldn't understand. No, 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 no.
My thing
You're
is have
adapting a
here's
video
my
game.
problem. Just have
That's
just
how
have good
you do it.
choreography.
Adapt the game. Adapt the game. That's all. That's what
Yeah,
Mortal
yeah. Just
Kombat
have
did. That's not what
yeah,
this movie did. Sorry, that's not what the Street Fighter movie did, the live action one. That's certainly not what they did with Double Dragon or Super Mario Brothers. Just adapt the game. That's
yeah.
all. Talk done. And yeah, so that's it. So yeah, Ricardo, your last word to read it.
Right, I mean, it's a total edgy product of the 90s kind of thing, right? I mean, I sure we're going back and think it has sort of cringy bullshit in it, but it was just like really cool and well made. Like, just the fights are great, animation for its time was great. Like, you dug it for what it was, and it's one of those burn into your memories 90s things that just totally work. They are a lot of fun with. Yeah, I have no problem calling it a classic, right? Guilty pleasure, yes, but still a classic. It works.
All right, so what will you rate it now? I know you haven't seen it in a while, but yeah, what will
I
you
don't
rate
know.
it now?
I don't know. I don't. I'm sure. I get it. It probably. I get. It. I sure. I'll see all the nitpicks and flaws and problems with it. But like, yeah, I could probably still give it like a 7 out of 10. Like, I sure it just had a lot of cool style and a lot of it is style over substance. And I think that is all you want from it. It's fine.